like longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. You know what? Fuck them. Immortal technique. Killer Mike. Brother Ali. No, yeah. The ghetto is like a prison with invisible bars. No matter where you ride it, always follow you way far. And it's hard out there for a pimp to get out of, but it's harder for the hooker that he beat the shit out of. I got niggas underground in the Confederate States. I try to keep running from slavery that prison creates. So I never hate on the South. I respect their vision. I just hate on niggas that promote symbolism and white execs that love to see us in that position. They reflect the stereotypes of America's vision. They want to dance in the cooling and hollering. Only respect us for playing sports and modeling. More than racism. Instead, your racism. All people are trapped in practical black racism. So fuck a civil war between the North and the South. It's between field niggas and slaves that are stuck in the house. Civil war for the soul of a nation. This is a struggle to save civilization. Demonstrations overthrowing the occupation. The annihilation of mental colonization. Civil war for the soul of a nation. We fight for the future of our civilization. Destroy the corrupt government organizations. Trying to survive cultural assassination. Rich niggas, blood niggas can't save Asians. Why the fuck we born with each other's population? The devil wanna dead all our population. People in both nations. Why the separation? Why we got Jamaicans hating on Haitians? When the British and French break both nations. Mexicans and blacks kill each other, break hating. While the government profits from prison population. If you on the bottom, be you Anglo or Asian. You gotta recognize the realness is what I'm saying. You gotta recognize another cheat ain't the enemy. When the police ride and kill us frequently, we gotta make you see where the truth be. If you achieve it, grow and develop GD. 50 years of game and our people feel poor. If we really want the streets, we should really end war. Civil war for the soul of a nation. This is a struggle to save civilization. Demonstrations overthrowing the occupation. The annihilation of mental colonization. Civil war for the soul of a nation. We fight for the future of our civilization. Destroy the corrupt government organizations. Trying to survive cultural assassination. Our hearts were torn apart just like y'all was. Watching towers full of souls falling on us. Every time we called to office, you ignored us. Now you're holding hearings on us all inside of Congress. Like the stones on us, asking which your hardest. My answer was in line with all of the founding fathers. I think that just said it best. Give me liberty and death. I shall never accept anything less. You claim innocence, you claim victimless, but you gave the kiss of death in the name of self-defense. Slavery and death of other nations to the end of pacifying your citizenry with extent. We believe in freedom, justice, security, but they're only pure when they're applied universally. So certainly if I rage against the machine, my aim was only to clean the germs out of the circuitry. Urgently putting fear inside your heart. Make you burn Qurans and tell me not to build a mosque. Me, my right for babies, we ain't never made you hard. We just want to touch our head to the floor and talk to God. Ask you to remove every premise from our heart. The greatest threat of all doesn't come from any bomb. The moment you refuse the human rights for just a few, what happens when that few includes you? Civil war.
All right, yo, what's up? What's up? Back again for another live stream. It's your boy. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So we got. All right. So we got. FBI report warned of war at Capitol, contradicting claims there was no indication of looming violence. Okay. Because there's been a big debate about this, about whether or not people really knew or if law enforcement really knew what was going to go down in DC. Okay. There's a big debate about that. Okay. All right. Says a day before rioters stormed Congress on FBI office, an FBI office in Virginia issued an FBI. This was an FBI office in Virginia. Okay, issued an explicit internal warning that extremists were preparing to travel to Washington to commit violence and war, according to an internal document reviewed by the Washington Post that contradicts a senior official's declaration. The Bureau had no intelligence indicating anyone at last week's pro-Trump protest planned to do harm. Wow. So you got contradicting documents. Okay. You got contradicting documents. Okay, a document which contradicted, okay, what a senior FBI official said. Which, all right, all right, contradicting it, what a senior FBI official said. Okay, a situational information report approved for release the day before the U.S. Capitol riot painted a dire portrait of dangerous plans, including individuals sharing a map of the complex's tunnels and possible rally points for would-be conspirators to meet up in Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and South Carolina and head in groups to Washington. Wow. Wow, y'all. Okay. And this is the Washington Post, all right? Okay. As of January 5th, 2021, FBI Norfolk received information indicating calls for violence in response to unlawful lockdowns, okay, to begin on January 6th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. The document says an online thread discussed specific calls for violence to include stating, "Be ready to fight. Congress needs to hear glass breaking, doors being kicked in, and blood from their BLM and Pantifa slave soldiers being spilled." Wow. Okay. Get violent. Stop calling this a march or a rally or a protest. Go there ready for war. We get our president or we die. Nothing else will achieve this goal. Okay. So they were coming in getting ready for war. Okay. They were coming in with the intention of going to war. Okay. Okay. They're against the coronavirus lockdowns and stuff. They said they were illegal. Okay. And whatnot. All right. Yeah. BLM is likely a reference to the Black Lives Matter movement for racial justice. Pantifa is a derogatory term for Antifa, a far-left anti-fascist movement whose adherents sometimes engage in violent clashes with right-wing extremists. All right. Yet, even with that information in hand, the reports identified author expressed concern that the FBI might be encroaching on free speech rights. Okay. The warning is the starkest evidence yet of the sizable intelligence failure that preceded the mayhem, which claimed the lives of 5 people, although one law enforcement official speaking on the condition of anonymity to avoid disciplinary action said the failure was not one of intelligence, but of acting on the intelligence. Okay. An FBI official familiar with the document said that within 45 minutes of learning about the alarming online conversation, the Norfolk FBI office wrote the report and shared it with others within the Bureau. It was not immediately clear how many law enforcement agencies outside the FBI were told, but the information was briefed to FBI officials at the Bureau's Washington field office the day before the attack, this official said. The official, who like others spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss ongoing investigations, added that the report was raw intelligence and that at the time it was written, the FBI did not know the identities of those making the online statements. Okay. The FBI already faces tough questions about why it was not more attuned to what was being discussed in public internet conversations in the days leading up to the attack, and why the Bureau and other agencies seem to do little to prepare for the possibility of mass violence. Okay, the document notes that the information represents the view of the FBI's Norfolk office. It is not to be shared outside law enforcement circles, that it is not finally evaluated intelligence, and that agencies that receive it are requested not to take action based on this raw reporting without prior coordination with the FBI. Okay. Multiple law enforcement officials have said privately in recent days that the level of violence exhibited at the Capitol has led to difficult discussions within the FBI and other agencies about race, terrorism, and whether investigators fail to register the degree of danger because the overwhelming majority of the participants at the rally were white conservatives fiercely loyal to President Trump. Okay. Okay. Individuals, organizations named in this situational information report have been identified as participating in activities that are protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the document says. Their inclusion here is not intended to associate the protected activity with criminality or a threat to national security, or to infer that such protected activity itself violates federal law. Okay. However, it continues based on known intelligence and or specific historical observations. It is possible the protected activity could invite a violent reaction towards the subject, individuals, or others in retaliation or with the goal of stopping the protected activity from occurring in the first instance. Okay. In the event no violent reactions occurs, FBI policy and federal law dictates that no further record to be made of the protected activity. Okay. The document notes that one online comment advised if Antifa or BLM get violent, leave them dead in the street. While another said they need people on standby to provide supplies, including water and medical, to the front lines. The individual also discussed the need to evacuate non combatants and wounded to medical care. Okay. On January 6th, a large, angry crowd of people who had attended a nearby rally marched to the Capitol, smashing windows, breaking down doors to get inside. One woman in the mob was shot and killed by a Capitol police officer. Officials said 3 others in the crowd died from medical emergencies. Another Capitol police officer died after suffering injuries. And on Friday, the head of the FBI's Washington field office, Stephen Antonio, told reporters there was no indication of anything planned for the day of Trump's rally other than First Amendment protected activity. Biantunio added, "We work diligently with our partners on this." Okay. The FBI said in a statement that its standard practice is to not comment on specific intelligence products, but added the FBI field officers routinely share information with their local law enforcement partners to assist in protecting the communities they serve. The FBI did not detail specifically who saw the document for the mob attack on Congress or what, if anything, was done in response. Okay. For weeks leading up to the event, FBI officials discounted any suggestion that the protests of pro-Trump supporters upset about the scheduled certification of Joe Biden's election could be a security threat on a scale with racial justice protests last summer on the wake of George Floyd's death in Minneapolis police custody. While the nation's capital is one of the most heavily guarded cities on the planet, local and federal law enforcement agencies sought to take a low-key approach to last week's event, publicly and privately expressing concerns that they did not want to repeat the ugly clashes between protesters and police last year. Okay. Some law enforcement officials took the view that pro-Trump protesters are generally known for over-the-top rhetoric but not much violence, and therefore the event did not pose a particularly grave risk, according to people familiar with the security discussions leading up to January 6th. Even so, there were warning signs, though none as stark as the one from the FBI's Norfolk office. FBI agents had, in the weeks before the Trump rally, visited suspected extremists hoping to glean whether they had violent intentions. A person familiar with the matter said, though it was not immediately clear who was visited, if the FBI was swiftly tracking anyone who would later be charged criminally. These visits were first reported Sunday by NBC News. So the FBI said, okay, so the FBI was already monitoring some of these people. Okay, it says that right here in this paragraph. They're already looking at some of these people. They probably already visited some of these people at their home, to ask them, hey, are you aware of anything violent that's going to happen in Washington, D.C.? Or are you a part of a conspiracy to do anything violent in Washington, D.C. or something like that? And they're not releasing the identity of the people that they talked to, but they already knew this was coming. Okay, they already knew this was coming down the pipe. They already had intelligence about it. Okay, it just was not acted on for whatever reason. Okay, for whatever reason. Let's continue. In addition, in the days leading up to the demonstration, some Capitol Hill staffers were told by supervisors to not come into work that day, if possible, because it seemed the danger level can be higher than a lot of fire protests, according to a person familiar with the warning. Capitol Police, okay, did not take the kind of extra precautions such as frozen zones and hardened barriers that are typically used in major events around the Capitol. Wow. Okay, so looks like, okay, looks like They already knew what was going to happen, okay, but they just chose not to do anything um, about it, okay. Now the Justice Department and federal agents are scrambling to identify and arrest those responsible for last week's violence, in part because there's already significant online discussion of new potential clashes Sunday and again on January 20th when Biden will be inaugurated. Okay. Federal agents remain in a state of high alert in the days leading up to the inauguration as authorities brace for possible violence, not just in Washington, but around the country, officials said. Okay. The FBI recently issued a different memo saying that armed protests were being planned at all 50 state capitals and in D.C. in the days leading up to the inauguration, according to an official familiar with the matter, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive law enforcement matter. Okay, the memo, first reported on by ABC News and later confirmed by the Washington Post, is a raw intelligence product compiling information gathered by the Bureau and several other okay government agencies. Some of it is unverified, and the threat is likely to differ significantly from place to place, the official said. Okay, but the data it highlights to law enforcement are nonetheless troubling, including that there was information suggesting people might storm government offices or stage an uprising where Trump to be removed from office, the official said. Okay, in a statement, the FBI declined to comment specifically on the memo about state capitals, but said our efforts are focused on identifying, investigating, and disrupting individuals that are inciting violence and engaging in criminal activity. As we do in the normal course of business, we are gathering information to identify any potential threats and are sharing that information with our partners. Okay. The FBI respects the rights of individuals to peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights. It continues. Our focus not on peaceful protesters, but on those threatening their safety and the safety of other citizens with violence and destruction of property. Wow. And now here's another related. This is very interesting. Okay, whatever. Washington Post is telling me that I gotta pay them to keep. So I'm gonna go to CNN. Hold on. I'm gonna put Secret Service Biden inauguration. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me. Okay. Now, oh wow, I didn't mean to do that. All right. So I'm gonna be sharing. Okay, the next article. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, mayor urges people to avoid D.C. as Secret Service begins inauguration prep early. Okay, Washington D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser on Monday urged Americans to avoid the city during President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration next week, and the Secret Service has been instructed to begin its preparations for the inauguration ahead of schedule. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, the National Guard has plans to have up to 15,000 National Guard troops to meet current and future requests for the inauguration. General Daniel Hackanson and the chief of the National Guard Bureau said Monday the dramatic increase in troops comes as law enforcement in the nation's capital and around the country brace for further extremist violence amid the transition of power. Okay. Speaking at a news conference Monday, Bowser, a Democrat, stressed that she was concerned about more violent actors potentially coming to the city in the run-up to the inauguration, saying, if I'm scared of anything, it's for our democracy because we have very extreme factions in our country that are armed and dangerous. Right? Trumpism won't die on January 20th, said Bowser, who asked Trump and acting Homeland Security Chad Wolf to declare a pre-disaster declaration for D.C. Now, our goals right now are to encourage Americans to participate virtually and to protect the District of Columbia from a repeat of the violent insurrection experienced at the Capitol and its grounds on January 6th, Bowser said. The White House said in a statement Monday night that Trump approved the emergency declaration requested by Bowser. Okay. Interesting. So they're saying Trump was cool with the extra security. Okay. Today, President Donald J. Trump declared that emergency exists in the District of Columbia and ordered federal assistance to supplement the district's response efforts due to the emergency conditions resulting from the 59th presidential inauguration from January 11th to January 24th, 2021, the statement read. Okay. Bowser is also asking the Trump administration to cancel public gathering permits between January 10th and 24th. Okay. The emergency declaration requested by Bowser will unlock additional funding for the city's security efforts for the inauguration. The mayor ultimately assessed in a letter to Trump of the weekend that despite the security assets the city has in place, significant preparedness gaps remain that cannot be remedied. Okay. Without the emergency declaration and direct federal assistance. Okay. Bowser told CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday that she will also ask the Department of Homeland Security to begin a national special security event timeline sooner than planned, as well as include the U.S. Capitol in their coverage area for the inauguration. And Wolf said on Monday that he had instructed the U.S. Secret Service to begin the national special security event operations for Biden's inauguration on Wednesday instead of January 19th, the day before Biden is set to be inaugurated. In light of events of the past week and the evolving security landscape leading up to the inauguration, and at the recommendation of Secret Service Director James Murray, have instructed the U.S. Secret Service to begin the national special security event operations for 2021 inauguration effective Wednesday, January 13th, instead of January 19th, Wolf said in a statement. Our federal, state, and local partners will continue to coordinate their plans and position resources for this important event. Okay, the preparations come as the FBI is warning that there will be protests around the country this weekend. Okay, the Bureau has received information indicating armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals and the U.S. Capitol in Washington in the days leading up to Biden's inauguration, according to an internal bulletin obtained by CNN. Okay, armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals from January 16th through at least January 20th, and at the U.S. Capitol from January 17th through January 20th, the bulletin states. Last month, Biden's camp urged people not to travel to D.C. for the inauguration, citing the worsening coronavirus pandemic. The scaled back festivities will instead feature a virtual program to allow Americans to participate from home. Okay. The National Park Service also announced Monday that it will close the Washington Monument to visitors for more than 2 weeks, a time period that includes the inauguration. Okay. The Park Service said it also may institute temporary closures of public access to roadways, parking areas, and restrooms within the National Mall and Memorial Parks if conditions warrant to protect public safety and park resources. Okay. A senior defense official told CNN on Monday that National Guard troops who are already earmarked for the inauguration are beginning to arrive, and the plan is to have 10,000 in the city by Saturday. Okay. There's a full rehearsal with troops this week in D.C. The Justice Department Command Center will be extra robust with virtually every cabinet department and law enforcement agency plugging in, the official said. Currently, there are 62,000 National Guard members who have already been mobilized in the wake of last week's attack on the Capitol by pro-Trump protesters. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. You know, they're revving up security as much as they can. Looks like. Okay. All right. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So, you know. But I'm gonna try to keep you posted on this event. I'm probably gonna be streaming more about this as events go on. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching. Peace.